Welcome to Bunny Trails, a whimsical adventure of idioms and other turns of phrase. I'm Dan Pugh.
And I'm Shauna Harrison. Each week, we take an idiom or other turn of phrase and try to tell the story from its entry into the English language to how it's used today. For some of us, it can feel like our phones do the thinking for us, buzzing and flashing at every turn. Reminders, texts, calls, emails, it can really feel like we're always at the thing's beck and call.
Yes, I do sometimes feel like I am at the very whim of what everyone else wants via my phone.
Yeah. According to Oxford English Dictionary, beck and call is a phrase tied to the keyword beck, which means, quote, hence the slightest indication of will or command, and transferred absolute order or control, especially in phrases to have at one's beck, to hang upon the beck of, to be at the beck and call of, end quote. One of the earlier references for the term beck in this sense is found in a 1530 translation of Caesar with commentary. Here's the excerpt. Quote, it should be ready at a beck, end quote. The Mirror for Magistrates by John Higgins was believed to be one of the pieces that influenced Shakespeare's King Lear. And this was published in 1587, and it contains this quote, I had the Britons at what beck I would, end quote. We see it again in the 1635 work by Ephraim Paget titled Christianography, or the description of the multitude and sundry sorts of Christians in the world not subject to the Pope. Quote, bound to your holiness and wholly hanging upon your beck, end quote. These quotes help inform us that beck and call is a pairing of two terms that seem to have organically become a phrase. Call is using one's voice to get a person's attention and ask them to come to you. That one's simple. And it's sometimes accompanied with a gesture. And that's what a beck is. According to Oxford English Dictionary, one definition of beck is, quote, a mute signal or significant gesture, especially one indicating assent or notifying a command, e.g., a nod, a motion of the hand or forefinger, etc., end quote.
Interesting. So these two things are tied together with beck meaning the gesture and call meaning to more verbally bring someone to you or to go to them.
Yes, and in those early quotes, beck was used independently to indicate that, at a beck, at a command.
Right. And we have the word beckon, which comes from the same concept, and it means to call upon someone.
Yes. The phrase is found in the 1726 work by Joseph Glanville, Henry Moore, and Anthony Hornick, titled Seducismus Triumphatus, or A Full and Plain Evidence Concerning Witches and Apparitions, in two parts, the first treating of their possibility, the second of their real existence. And here's an excerpt. Quote, it hath indeed been a great dispute amongst interpreters whether the real Samuel was raised or the devil in his likeness. Most later writers suppose it to have been an evil spirit, upon the supposition that good and happy souls can never return hither from their celestial abodes, and they are not certainly at the beck and call of an impious hag. End quote.
I would love for that to be true. So first, that if a spirit exists after death, and that person, that spirit, I should say, then moves to the celestial abodes, that they would not then also have to be at the beck and call of an impious hag. I think all of those are worthy goals.
It's like, so was this maybe just wishful thinking?
Right. Although I should note that the way I said it makes it sound like if there is a spirit, then the spirit is separate from the body, as if like the spirit is its own thing, which fine if it is. But I also prefer to think of it like if there is a soul, a spirit, then that is who you are, and the body is just the extra part, the thing you shed.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the soul being the thing and not the body being the thing.
Mm-hmm. Same.
But what happens to soul? What were the souls doing before they got into the body? Like we talk a lot in religion about the souls after they leave the body, but I don't hear a lot about souls before they entered the body.
You're getting into arguments for reincarnation.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is just my my ignorance with religions that deal with reincarnation, huh?
I mean, some there,
Okay.
but
That's fair. It's
but
totally fair.
yeah, I mean, it's an interesting concept. In religions that don't, then maybe it's kind of like a Big Bang type of thing. It's like, boom, soul
Boom.
exists.
Well, all right. I had something to say about Big Bangs, but that was going to be a little bit too blue for the show. So,
Oh my.
anywho's all right.
So
Well, moving back to Beck and Call.
yeah, so this instance with the impious hag shows how the phrase was already established to convey someone or something being entirely subject to another's command, or in this case, to indicate that they were not entirely so. We find the phrase in the 1863 printing of The Child's Companion, published by the Religious Tract Society out of London. Here's an excerpt. Quote, "Oh, she will be here presently, mother. She has gone off with a poor child whom we saw in the street, and who said she had lost her way. I am sure she could have found it herself, but Bessie is so silly. She will run anywhere at anybody's beck and call." End quote.
It's very capricious.
Yes. So in this case, the child was considered unwise for her treatment and consideration of the other child. This is an example of the continued usage of the phrase in like a familiar, everyday context. It applied to a child's behavior rather than this formal or political setting or a broader big concept. The phrase was used in an entry in the 1905 work by Ebenezer Cobham Brewer titled Dictionary of Phrase and Fable, giving the derivation, source, or origin of common phrases, allusions, and words that have a tale to tell. Quote, "To dance attendance, to wait obsequiously, to be at the beck and call of another. The allusion is to the ancient custom of weddings, where the bride on the wedding night had to dance with every guest and play the amiable, though greatly annoyed." End quote.
Oh, so the to dance attendance is what he was describing
defining,
there. Okay,
yeah.
defining. Yeah. All right.
So, again, this is highlighting that beck and call conveys that being ready to serve or obey. And it's also showing us that it was being used in a definition. Like it was expected that everybody would be familiar with the phrase's meaning. The phrase was used in a poem signed R.R. called The Planners, which was published in a 1944 edition of the Royal Air Force Quarterly and Commonwealth Air Force's Journal. Here's the poem. Quote, "Today we plan tomorrow's fight, and all that man can do is done. The die is cast for wrong or right, and time slips past, we wait the gun. By midnight oil as incense burned, in hours of toil we humbly pray, that nothing breaks that we have learned from our mistakes of yesterday, that all has been foreseen, forethought foreseen each circumstance, providing all and leaving naught at beck and call of wayward chance. To you the fame, if all goes well, to us the blame for aught awry, though faulty plan, to us our hell, should any man untimely die." End quote.
I swear I've heard that poem before. Have we talked about it on this show? Because there's just pretty much no chance I ran across the poem randomly in my own life that's not tied to the show.
I don't
Unless, well, this is kind of
recall
rhymey, so maybe.
Maybe. It is rhymey.
Yeah. It's interesting. No, that opening line, though, today we plan tomorrow's fight, all that man can do is done, right? That one, I was like, that's very familiar to me.
It's possible that you could have heard this one or something similar or built off of it. It's an interesting usage that they are at the beck and call of wayward chance.
Mm-hmm.
And given the timing, this poem was in a segment titled Winning the Peace. And again, this was in 1944. So it seems rather fitting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to judge, but winning the peace with violence always feels like an interesting dichotomy. But that has been most of the peace we've found for brief periods of time in human society has been won at the hands of violence.
Yeah. Well, and with this one, they're saying like they're planning the fight. They've done all they can do. And so now it's just waiting up to chance, see what happens to each man.
So interesting.
A lot. Here's one more before we get to our modern uses. The phrase was used in a portion of a full spread ad for the company Creative Kitchens Incorporated. And this was found in the Evening Star out of Washington, D.C., April 17th, 1963. And here's a snippet. Quote, "Beck and call. Your wife, however, can have a 1963 range at her beck and call, complete with a variety of automatic cooking controls to ensure that once a meal is underway, it doesn't require constant attention. End quote. So, the ad uses the phrase to suggest convenience and responsiveness, showing how beck and call was applied to beyond people to describe appliances that cater to your needs. I liked that one.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm just a little bit too nervous about anything that is using extreme heat to just not be at its beck and call as opposed to it being at my beck and call.
That's fair. I think in this case they were more saying maybe not leave the house, but you don't have to stand there.
Right, right. I would stand there, though, is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, fair.
I just, yeah, nope. But that probably says more about my anxieties than it does about the impressiveness of the equipment in 1963.
Fair. I think that I was taught when I was a kid learning like about cooking safety or whatnot that you don't leave like things that are on the stovetop. Like you don't leave the room. You stay and you watch it while it's on the top of this. But like the oven, you can walk it out of the room or whatever, but you check on it every 5-10 minutes or something like that.
I don't know, man. The amount of people that died in the 1800s from kitchen fires, so cooking fires, like, it's ridiculous. When every time I'm in a newspaper, I'm like, oh, look, someone else died.
So there were a lot of fires.
Explosion in the kitchen, something. Oof.
Happy
thoughts going into our modern uses.
Yay! And we do have several modern uses that we'll cover, and we will get to those right after we say thank you to our sponsors.
This episode is sponsored by our amazing patrons on Patreon. And the cool thing about Patreon is it is 100% free to join the Bunny Trails community. We have new things every weekday on the feeds. On Mondays, we have a conversation about what movies, shows, books, podcasts, and whatever else everyone is enjoying. Tuesdays see early access to the week's podcast. Wednesdays have all the links, books, songs, and other content mentioned in the week's episode. Thursday has patrons-only polls. And Fridays are our lightly edited, behind-the-scenes video featuring all the cut content, goofs, and bonus facts you could imagine.
We've got some other pretty cool stuff too, like original digital artwork once a month made by me, and direct access to talk with us. No algorithms getting in the way of what we see or don't see. Plus, you can get awesome name recognition like Pat Rowe does every episode. And our top spot is currently occupied by the amazing Mary Halsig Lopez. You can join the Bunny Trails community for free at Bunny Trails Pod on Patreon.
That's patreon.com/bunnytrailspod.
One of the most iconic movies in cinema history delivered line after line in 1990. That's thanks partially to the phenomenal duo of Richard Gere and Julia Roberts. Yep, Pretty Woman. In one memorable scene, Roberts' character Vivian is taking a bubble bath while talking with Gere's character Edward, who says, quote, "I will pay you to be at my beck and call." To which Vivian answers, "Look, I'd love to be your beck and call girl, but end quote. I love when a play on words is done well like this. And of course, Roberts delivers it with a light, humorous note, which helps set the lighthearted tone for the film.
I have never seen that movie.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. I don't know. I mean, like I'm aware of it. I thought it came out earlier than that, so it kind of surprises me it came out in 1990. But yeah, nope. For some, and I was really big into movies in that time frame, from the late 80s probably into the mid 90s. Probably actually culminating with the blockbuster success of the movies of 1996 and into 1997. But yeah, after that, I pretty much fell off of movies. So
was that when like Independence Day and stuff came out?
Independence Day did come out in 1996. Well done.
Okay,
well spotted. I do have another 1995 example here of this, and it's one that I frequently think of when I hear this phrase, Beck and Call, because it is also used in a 1995 song called Sold by John Michael Montgomery, which is sometimes known as the Grundy County Auction. And here are just a quick part of the beginning of the lyrics. I'm not going to do the whole thing because it will be in my head for the rest of my life if I do that.
I'm glad you're reading it because I wouldn't be able to without just singing.
Here we go. Quote, "And I said, 'Hey, pretty lady, won't you give me a sign? I'd give anything to make you mine, oh mine. I'd do your bidding and be at your beck and call.'" End quote. Yeah, it's really hard not to keep singing and continue the chorus. I know. But it is a very it's a very of its time country song that has some really fun play on things with lyrics, much like what you were talking about with the delivery of that line by Julia Roberts in that movie. So in Pretty Woman. So
Mhm.
I that song still lives rent free in my head
Okay,
from
it's
1995.
fantastic. It's a good song. I mean, I don't know. It's like it's very catchy for
It is
sure.
very catchy. I think that I wouldn't write those lyrics today, but
Fair, yeah, yeah.
when looked at as a product of its time, yeah,
I
it's a
would
very
say
interesting.
probably the same thing for Pretty Woman.
Yeah, that's fair.
So part of what makes that line humorous for those who maybe haven't seen the movie or don't know what it is, she is Roberts plays a
She
call
is a
girl.
call girl, right?
That's what makes that line,
Yes,
kind
or
of
someone who spends time with usually men for money.
a paid escort. Yeah.
Yes.
So the play on words is fun, but like you said, probably not something that would end up happening today in today's world. Quite the same. Well, on the topic of songs, Beck and Call is a 2016 song by the emotional indie punk band Sundressed. This song has a catchy rhythm. I enjoyed it. Had a little bit of a nostalgic feeling for me. Maybe that kind of, I don't know, emotional indie
Can you
style.
be nostalgic for something that happened in the last decade?
I feel like I'm like the sound of it did,
I guess here's the thing: anything that was pre-COVID, you can feel nostalgic
I
for. I
think
think.
I'm like old now, so yes, I can have
I think
nostalgia
I
for
think
things.
anyone who was alive pre-COVID could probably
Yeah,
have
yeah.
nostalgia for pre-COVID.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pre-COVID,
All right.
so
That's fair. Fair enough.
all right, here are some of the lyrics. Quote, if you care to listen at all, compliments are always subtle. Kind words, they rarely leave your mouth. Underneath the weeping willow, you're just drooling on your pillow. All is well whenever you are right. But now the pattern is all backwards. Time will tell ya who will act first. Same time, new place, just another fight. So who's going to be at your beck and call? And if you're always right, why do you need anyone at all? Who's going to be at your funeral? And although it tears me up, you expected too much. End quote. All right, another 2016 song. It was a popular year for it.
No, popular year for Beck and Call. Okay.
So this is another one from 2016. It was titled Beck and Call. This one's by the group July Talk. It has a similar take with themes of unhealthy relationships, but this time it's sharing both perspectives on it, expressing the idea of being at the whim of another's commands or wishes can go both directions.
And
And
it's not always a negative thing, but it does need to be consensual
right,
and
yeah.
and not hostile.
That this one was definitely leaning towards the unhealthy relationships kind of idea of it. Here are some of the lyrics. Quote, why do you want me today? Is it because you think you're wonderful, or is it because you think you are worth less than nothing at all? At your beck and call, we're not the first to fall. To feel unknown, still we jump at your beck and call. What do you want me to say? If you want me, I'll be waiting. If you don't, it's okay. Why did you come here today? Do you really think there's something more to say, or do you just need saving? End quote. July Talk is a Canadian alt rock band, and I really liked the grit in this song. I also enjoyed the music video, which uses two dancers to portray this sort of mutual push-pull vibe of the song. Beck and Call is book number 1 in the Old Bridge Inn series by Annick Trent, and it's labeled as a standalone historical romance. It was published in 2022. Here's the synopsis. Quote, by returning to England, Edwin Harrow hoped to escape the treacherous lover and false accusations he left behind on the continent. But when his secrets leave him open to blackmail, the worst thing he can do is fall in love with his blackmailer's brother, kind and gravely charming fellow servant William Bell. After 5 lonely years as valet to a reclusive country squire, William is fascinated by prickly, standoffish Edwin. He suspects he wants more than Edwin is ready to give, but he cannot resist trying to break through that defensive shell. And William has secrets of his own, namely his involvement in one of the literary societies recently driven underground by the political climate. When Edwin's messy past catches up with them, will it spell disaster for them both? End quote. As you might imagine, this phrase is actually a really popular book title. There are a large number of books from a few different genres mainly romance,
Yep,
that
naturally.
use Beck and Call in the title.
I can totally see that.
If you're curious about that, we're going to discuss a few other Beck and Call books during our Behind the Scenes, which airs every Friday on our Patreon. That's patreon.com/bunnytrailspod.
All right. Saucy times on the Patreon, everyone.
Saucy time. Pictures to Burn is a 2025 song by the folk duo Beck and Call. Here's a little about the song. Quote, Beck and Call is turning heads with Pictures to Burn, a fiery debut single packed with raw emotion, powerful vocals, and unapologetic truth. This heartbreak anthem channels betrayal into empowerment, telling the story of love lost, trust broken, and the strength it takes to finally let go. With cutting lyrics like, now you've got her and I've got your pictures to burn, the duo doesn't hold back as they confront infidelity and reclaim their worth. Alternating perspectives and haunting harmonies paint a vivid portrait of pain transformed into defiance. If you've ever had your heart broken and come out stronger on the other side, this song is for you. End quote.
I really wanted Beck and Call to be two people whose last name was Beck and Call, right?
Mhm.
You know, but no. There is a Becca though, so maybe she's the Beck. But Chris is the other person's name. So
Maybe he goes by Call.
I don't know. Maybe it's interesting. They don't
Maybe
on
his
their
middle name's Callum and he goes by Call.
I don't know. I did notice that there was when I was looking, it's Becca Bradley and Chris Crump. So they don't address the name in their about me section, but I wish they had, because I really like seeing when someone uses an idiomatic phrase,
As
being able to
name.
hear why
Mhm.
that spoke to them.
I do too, and I looked for the same thing and did not find it. Beck and Call is a mixed media artwork by Ryan Kohler. The piece was sold but is viewable online at Portland Art Gallery. The piece depicts a few watercraft, possibly tugboats, at a pier. It's very colorful and has a lot of interesting angles due to that mixed media use that's used to create it. So,
Yeah, it looks like maybe there was a little bit of painting and then they put Post-it notes on it.
that's Dan's
Dan's very
perspective on
gross
it.
oversimplification of it. It's actually really nice. I actually kind of like it.
It's really cool. It's got great angles, and it's in my opinion, a really great mixed media piece.
I would say I have a 6-year-old's eye for art, but that's probably not fair to 6-year-olds.
Beck and Call is a premier rooftop cocktail bar boasting panoramic views of downtown Memphis. Here's a little bit from their website. Quote, Memphis views at your beck and call. Nestled atop the Hyatt-centric Beale Street, Memphis, Beck and Call is a premier rooftop cocktail bar boasting panoramic views of downtown Memphis. You're just steps away from the city's most vibrant attractions here. Sip on expertly crafted cocktails as you watch the sunset over the Mississippi River or admire the dazzling Memphis skyline. Beck and Call offers an unforgettable backdrop for an evening of enjoyment and scenic beauty. End quote. Anyway, that sounds really pretty. I always wanted to go to Beale Street just because I like the song.
Oh, I see. All right.
Just to sing the song.
Okay.
I was there when I was a kid, but I don't really remember it. So it's like Right. There is another restaurant, and this might, fill that need for you, Dan. It's rather a pair of restaurants, and it uses the phrase beckon.
Oh, it doesn't use the phrase. It's using a bastardization of it where it says the word beckon, B-E-C-K-O-N. Yes, which is, since they both mean call, this is just this is someone who did not understand what the phrase meant.
So anyway, Beckon and its sister restaurant Call are located in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, of course it is.
Together, they are generally referred to as Beck and Call, no and in between, so that it sounds
right, it's just
like
Beck and Call.
And
yeah.
Call, Beck and Call.
I mean, some people
It's
write
very
it like that,
creative.
and it is
Yes.
not correct, but sure, go for it, I guess. You do you.
So they appear to be fairly high end. I noticed that Beckon received a 1-star Michelin rating in 2023 and 2024. So.
It floors me that anyone cares what a tire company says about
Listen,
their food.
I don't know. I'm just sharing
A
the
French tire
information.
company at
I don't know
that.
why you're judging.
Just whatever, but it's whatever.
Clearly,
I've been to French restaurants, and their portion sizes are not up to my par.
Okay.
Like you go to a 1-star Michelin rating restaurant or better, and then you have to go somewhere else to finish eating.
Oh my goodness. Maybe it's an experience.
Is my American showing right now?
I think so. I don't know. I've always liked the phrase Beck and Call because it has a slightly old-fashioned charm, but it still feels completely relevant. It's a good idea, though, to be mindful of how often we make ourselves available to others. There's a line between being helpful and overextending. Whether using it in a playful, flirty, serious, or even negative tone, the phrase is just as useful as when it first started being used. So have fun and be yourself, and just be careful before putting yourself at someone's beck and call. That's about all we have for today. If you have any thoughts on the show or pop culture references that we should have included, reach out to us on our Patreon, patreon.com/bunnytrailspod, or comment on our website, bunnytrailspod.com.
Okay, it is poll time. Recently, we asked our patrons, would you rather have a pet dragon or be a dragon? The responses were oddly enough an even split. JGP said, quote, I think I'd rather have a pet dragon. Opposable thumbs are just too useful to give up. And if I had a pet dragon, I'd still get all the perks, like being able to ride it or having things set on fire if I desired, end quote. Okay, JGP, brilliant. You are brilliant. That is just what a wonderful viewpoint on that.
It's perfect. Alan shared, quote, I don't know that I'd be able to handle a pet dragon, so I would choose to be a dragon, end quote.
Also totally reasonable.
Yeah. I think I'd love a pet dragon. I imagine them sort of like cats. Like you let them do their thing and stay out of their way, but have plenty of snacks and toys available for them.
Right.
Yeah. And they're loyal to you, at that point.
Well, hopefully.
I think that they attack other people who are mean.
I don't want a dragon to attack people. That seems dangerous. That'd be like saying I have a dog that just attacks people.
That was part of why you want a dragon. I mean,
No.
that's part of why I wanted the dragon.
I was thinking like set things on fire, like the campfire, so I don't have to like rub two pieces of wood together for a while.
I've thought a lot about this though. Like, what would you name your pet dragon?
I had not thought a whole lot about that. I could say something silly like, Puff or Pete or something like that, from like movies and songs of yore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no, I don't know. I don't know. I hadn't thought a lot about it.
Yeah, I think that you name it something silly that or kind of clever, like creme brulee or something.
It's very good.
Yeah,
That's very good.
Mm-hmm.
No. Well, I'm no Lady Sybil, but I would like to think that I could handle one pet dragon. And I imagine how cool would that be to just like have that pet dragon that goes around with you. But then it would be like a Clifford problem, the big red dog, where eventually it just gets too big, I would imagine, maybe. Unless it's like a mini form dragon. There's a lot of variables here is what I'm saying. But I would say that if I could be the kind of dragon who changes forms and could live as a human when I want to, then I would definitely be a dragon. Like Alan said, I would do that. No, I think that's a common thing that dragons were suspected of being able to do. And in a lot of mythos, dragons can turn into humans. So if that were the case, I would definitely be a dragon. Mm-hmm. But if I wouldn't be able to change back into a human at will, then I would have a pet dragon. I think that's the distinction for me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe presumptuous of us to think that we would not be the dragon's pets if there were dragons.
Humans are pets, not food, if it comes to that. Please don't eat us. Well, as a reminder, our silly polls mean absolutely nothing and are not scientifically valid. But patrons of all levels, including our free tiers, can take part. Head over to patreon.com/bunnytrailspod to take this week's poll. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again next week. Until then, remember, words belong to their users.